if someone wants to stand the fuck out, is there some process framework? Because you can stand out in a million different ways, but like some are good, some are not so good, some will work, some will not work. Is there anything that you can condense?
And that's what I want to talk about when we talk about LinkedIn. The value of it is not in the post, it's not in the comments. The value of it is the fucking people you talk to in the DMs. It's the relationship you actually build there. I have closed six-figure deals from LinkedIn. The best part of being authentic is that there is no image to maintain. You will delight some and disturb others, and none of it will concern the truth of your being. I would get a lot of ideas and a lot of energy from looking at people I don't like, and it gives me so much ideas to do the opposite.
All right, before we dive in, you're listening to the Executive Brand Podcast with me, your host, Thormeier. Each week, I sit down with top B2B CEOs, executive, and founders to break down their playbooks. If you've not yet, it would really help if you subscribe or follow the show because it helps us get on better guests and create better content for you guys. All right, let's dive in. Louis Grenier, founder of Stand the Fuck Out, which is a solo consulting biz where he helps marketers and business owners to stand the fuck out. He also runs an anti-overwhelm community for creative business owners called The Roost. He's a course instructor at CXL. His last real job was as a content and product marketer at Hotjar. Dave Gerhardt calls him the French Harry Dry. The reason why I wanted to have you on, Lewis, is because I don't know, I spend a ton of time on LinkedIn, embarrassingly, and it kind of all blends in. I feel like I've kind of seen everything. And then a couple of weeks ago, I somehow stumbled upon you, and I don't know exactly where or how or what it was, but I just went down the rabbit hole and I probably binged your content for a good 30 to 60 minutes.
Yeah, you've
And
been stalking me. I've seen likes and comments from you
yeah.
from posts from 6 months ago, and I felt a bit weird.
Um, and that happens rarely, and I think you are standing the fuck out. It was very enjoyable going down your timeline and reading some of the things that you wrote recently and even months ago. I definitely learned things. I definitely rethought a couple things about my own approach, my own business. So that's why I wanted to have you on. You know, it seems like you break a lot of the rules that the gurus preach on LinkedIn. And so thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
the time.
And thank you for this lovely intro.
Cool.
I would say just briefly, I'm
Yeah.
not solo.
Okay.
I have Diana who works with me, and I've just hired someone in ops to help me get rid of spending time on all this stuff
That's awesome.
that I don't want to do. So yeah, it's not that solo. Although I'm the face of it,
Yeah.
uh, but I wouldn't dare to say that I'm running these shows on my own.
There we go. We got a comment on LinkedIn, standing out on LinkedIn by eating bananas. See? Practicing.
See?
Um, what's the evolution been like for you? You left Hotjar 5 years ago. I mean, you already had a podcast, I think, since 2017. I want to go into why you stopped doing that, but the whole premise was like everyone hates marketers, and it felt like this whole like I'm kind of sick of the best practices. I'm kind of sick of how everyone is doing things. I want to do things differently, has been around for a while. I'm just kind of curious, given that I discovered you recently and maybe stalked back 6 months ago or something. What's been the progression, evolution for you over the 5 years? And was there like a moment where it clicked for you, where you found your lane, where you felt like, oh, this is it?
So if we go back to the podcast that I started, yeah, 8, 9 years ago, at the time, podcasting wasn't as sexy as it is today. I remember my dad didn't know what podcasting was. Now he listens to podcasts on his way to the gym. So I was early in the game.
Yeah.
And what I wanted was just having conversation with people I admired on stuff that I felt wasn't talked about back then. So it was really like solving my own problem, scratching my own itch, eating my own dog food, whatever you want to buzzword you want to use. It was just genuinely very selfish of me to just want to talk to people. And then what I realized after a while was that, people were telling me that they enjoyed the conversation and that they like my questioning. They like the fact that I wasn't taking any shit from the guests, that I wasn't putting them on a pedestal, that I
Mm.
wasn't, you know, being performative for the sake of it. I wasn't being super American. And I think people like that. So it grew organically, thanks to that, we grew to up to 2 million downloads
Wow.
against podcasts that were heavily funded by HubSpot and whatnot. Um, but after a while, that podcast helped me to be hired at Hotjar. So I interviewed the CEO of Hotjar back
Mm.
then, David Darmanin, and then we kept in touch. And he said, "Hey, there's a new job we're hiring for. You might be good for that." And so I applied and went through the hoops, and I kept the podcast at Hotjar. And I did that because I wanted to. I knew there was something in it, and I wanted to continue build my own kind of audience and knowledge, and that was a great decision. So
Hmm.
once I left, I had learned a lot about product marketing, content marketing, marketing in startups and stuff. And I still had the podcast. And I kind of noticed that the stuff I was good at was really the big swing kind of initiatives, finding ideas and stuff that were very against the grain, but that would still be delivering some sort of revenue and
I
thinking in
think
the
that
bigger
was
picture.
these mini events at Hotjar or something. These five
Yeah, so
minute.
we did, for example, we did a virtual event at the height of COVID, 5 days, 5 guests per day, 5 minutes each.
Hmm.
Like, it's not tremendously innovative, but like back then, I think it drew of like 10, 12,000 attendees, something that was
Wow.
quite successful. Um, so I always had a knack for that, to find like the things that I feel would stand the fuck out, right? But obviously it wasn't that clear. So yeah, I after that I launched a cohort-based course, which I called Stand the Fuck Out. I didn't have grand ideas behind the name. I didn't think it'd be like something that would take off. But then after a while, people would uh, say those words back to me and kind of take like it would mean something to them beyond just the concept. Like it would mean like for them, I want to stand the fuck out would mean something
Hmm.
for them, right? Like you see, you did it earlier with the banana. It's like it's a funny thing. I don't have to explain what it is for people to understand what it is, you know.
Yeah.
And once I noticed that people were saying those things back to me, I was like, aha, that's interesting, right? Like this is a dream to have like people taking those ideas for themselves and making it down. And so I knew there was something. And yeah,
I
trial
think
and
it
error
gives you
for the last five
permission
years,
right
man.
away. I mean, sorry to interrupt there, but like,
No, please interrupt me.
I think once you even hear it, almost it's like marketers are like, yeah, that's the whole point of my job. So like,
Yeah,
what am I doing? And it's almost in the name, right? Because you have a swear word in there. So like, the name itself, it's like, oh, it resonates because there is a fuck in there, right? If it was just stand out, it's like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Uh, exactly. But yeah, it's easy to look back and say, oh, it's
yeah,
obvious, but it wasn't a grand plan.
yep.
It just happened, right? Like I've tried so many things. So you just keep trying, and then all the way up to now, try different business model. Cohort-based course worked really well at the height of COVID because everyone was home spending time online, and then it fizzled out. So then it was something else, and then something else. Tried sponsorship, tried whatever.
Hmm.
But to go back to like the core topic of today, right? If we talk about LinkedIn, I'm sure you will. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be side railing you, but I've been on LinkedIn for more than a decade, I think, and it's I was early there too,
Yeah.
and there is something to be said about that, which we can talk about it now, we can talk about it later.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think being I don't obsess over being first or being early in a specific channel or selling a specific type of product, but I do obsess over um, listening and paying attention to the mavericks, to the contrarians, to the people who try shit. And I don't do it in a very regular scheduled way,
Yeah.
but I do pay attention to those people who seem to be trying new things. And so naturally it kind of enters my stream of my consciousness, and it kind of becomes something that I could dabble in. So the podcast was because of Seth Godin. The
Mm.
cloud-based course was actually because of Seth Godin too. LinkedIn, I don't even remember. I think it was because of a guy who I think he didn't coin growth hacking. It's not Sean Ellis, but it was some sort of a guy talking about growth hacking. I didn't like what he was talking about, but I like that he was on LinkedIn and was one of the first to do that. So I pay attention to that, and I try to understand whether this is going to be something that is going to take off because it's rooted in first principles. Is it something that is going to last, right? And so I've seen a lot of people jumping on like the Clubhouse. I don't know if you remember 2 years ago,
Yes.
3 years ago. Or like I didn't make that move, right? Not because I didn't know it. I was pretty sure it wouldn't take off, but I also wouldn't enjoy it myself. So it's like I'm not first or early everywhere. For example, with like I'm on YouTube now.
Yeah.
I'm far from being early,
Right.
but yeah, there's instances where I was very early and that benefit me. Like the reason why I have 40,000 followers on LinkedIn is also because I was early.
I mean, you mentioned YouTube. Who are the people or things that you're currently paying attention to? Who do you see right now? You mentioned the word maverick. Who do you consider right now a maverick? Who inspires you?
On YouTube in particular.
Anywhere. Can be YouTube, can be anywhere else.
So I would get a lot of ideas and a lot of energy from looking at people I don't like.
That's why you're
Not
here.
necessarily yeah, not necessarily personally, right? I don't like I'm not fucking, I don't have anything personally against anyone really, but there are a lot of people that I would follow against my will who give me a lot of fuel for ideas because they do things I hate,
Mm,
and it gives me so much ideas to do the opposite. So,
Justin
I talked
Welsh.
about uh, look, yeah, I mean, I don't hate the guy. He was first in a specific category and then like selling something, selling LinkedIn course on LinkedIn, and he surfed the waves and like fair play to what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it's like it gives me a lot of energy to actually find the things that I don't like. And so for YouTube, for example, the selfie style, talking to the camera, like talking heads thing that um, everyone is kind of mimicking
Hmm.
with some uh, clicky, spammy thumbnail and overly promising headlines and titles and very, very empty content always piss me off. And especially in the marketing world, I always felt like there was nothing of substance, or at least very few things of substance. So, yeah, I pay a lot of attention to the what is working that I hate, as well as the people. Like, it's difficult to say who specifically because again it's like I do follow a bunch of people on LinkedIn in particular, YouTube and whatnot, but it's not necessarily on purpose. It's like I couldn't even, if I had to think of one. Yeah, I mentioned Segolin a few times. I like
Yeah.
him because he tends to be right in a few things, but yeah, it's easier for me to say the to talk about the people I don't like, or at least the things they do that I don't like.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Why did you stop the podcast?
So I only have limited number of hours in my week. I have a 4-year-old daughter and I have my wife as well, and I work from home and I like to spend more time with them than I spend on my business. So when you have a limited number of hours, then you prioritize. And one of the priority was I want to stop being seen as a podcaster. I
Mm,
never saw myself as a podcaster. I always saw myself as a marketer interviewing marketers. Yes, happening to do that on the podcast, but I never saw myself as a podcaster. But many people saw me as a podcaster still nowadays, still today. So the book was part of the strategy to change that and to stop the narrative around this guy is a podcaster. And the other thing was Everyone Hates Marketers. The format was me as a guest interviewing folks around marketing topics that could go from SEO to content to positioning to messaging to whatever. So it was extremely wide by default. And I just didn't feel like I could keep doing that when I was starting to specialize more and more into, positioning, branding, but like standing the fuck out as a kind of as
mhm.
a thread. And frankly, I didn't want to be seen as a host, asking people, putting others on a pedestal. It was time for me to be a guest and try to like reach more people. So I had to make a choice, and
Love it.
to be honest, I don't think I've never regretted it. It felt
Hmm.
completely normal to do it. I'm super proud of what I've done with Everyone Hates Marketers. It served me so well. It built my entire career. But I think you need to know when to kill your darlings, and that was one of them.
If you were to restart a podcast in 2026, applying everything that you know now about how to stand the fuck out, how would you do it? Format, length, I don't know. Anything come to mind?
I would do things that are extremely difficult to replicate. So, I like to think in terms of opposites. So, like, if you think about what is super easy to replicate nowadays, AI can actually replicate conversations between people and seemingly like talking about topics that are quite vague and whatever, and feeling like it's a normal thing. Anyone can have a podcast interviewing someone on Zoom.
Hmm.
Anyone can listen to their guest and not challenge them that much, and having a just shitty, very surface level conversation, all of that. So what's the opposite of that, right? In an audio format, it's like, what are the things that AI can do? And this is kind of what I try to do with my YouTube series, which is like getting people in person in the same room, and instead of talking about the things, doing the thing, and
Mm.
instead of giving big, advice that don't mean anything to anyone, going extremely specific about the struggles that they're suffering today, and putting myself in a uncomfortable position, having to improvise, having to coach them live, having to
Hmm.
find the answers live, right? And so, frankly, we're gonna do a podcast form of this that I do on YouTube. So that's gonna be what I'm gonna do. But I always try to think about what are the things I'm very good at, what are the things that will won't change, what are the things that AI can do, and usually the intersection is the fact that I'm good at coaching live. Like I love to be put on the spot, so I can think on my feet. AI can't do that because it's surface level, and bringing people in person because nowadays everyone can fucking meet each other online. That tends to be my thinking
Where
right
did the
now.
idea for the YouTube miniseries come from? And for
You mean there
context,
is
maybe say like three sentences about what you did there.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't give much context. So it's a my YouTube channel started with a first mini series where I've locked three freelancers in a cottage in Ireland and not letting them leave until I fix their marketing, their positioning. Um, so I paid for an Airbnb, like a beautiful cottage in 30 minutes from my house. I invited them over. They stayed in there the entire day. Like they also stayed during the night. I didn't. I came back home, and I would coach them for like 8 hours a day, essentially 3 cameras. So we produced this mini series, 4 episodes, and yeah, it worked really well. So that's the what it is. There will be another series, another series, another series, but the concept will be always the same. It's like something in person, and instead of talking about the thing, it's like doing the thing, and
Mm.
very much like Louis Theroux, a documentary style meets uh, marketing, coaching type thing. It's very, yeah, I loved Louis Theroux and whatever he does. Like I love his style of documentary, and I love documentaries in general. So trying to emulate some of that too. And yeah, how did I come up with that idea? I mean, it's not like boom. It's it's I tend to mull over stuff and think about them for a long time before feeling like I have the concept. I think I've developed over the years a bit of a taste about what feels good, what is a good idea, what is a fully fledged concept. And yeah, I don't honestly do not remember when I started to think about it. I do not remember when I felt I had the fucking boom, this is the idea. But it just slowly progressed into like I knew the in-person part. I knew I wanted to be put in like with other people, helping them out. You know, it just slowly evolves up until you're like, okay, I think I have something that is good enough that I could really make good. Let's put myself in an uncomfortable position and plan it before I feel ready,
Right.
which is what I did.
How long are the episodes?
I think for those ones, it's around 30 minutes,
Hmm.
35 minutes. And then the last one is 20 minutes.
That's cool. Yeah. I was thinking I saw some recently, some really long videos on LinkedIn, which is
Yeah.
also that stands out. Like typically people do like 1 minute vertical thing. That's like whatever the best practice. And the founder of Clay recently posted like a 12-minute long video with no captions. And it was just him and his head of finance sitting in a room discussing
Oh, yes,
uh,
that too.
why they should spend $1 million on billboards on something like that. And that
Mm.
post went absolutely viral and got over. I mean, he's also the co-founder of Clay, so that comes with a lot of attention. But I found it also it's very
Yeah.
interesting. I am kind of curious about the long form horizontal on
I
LinkedIn.
love how you said 12 minutes as if it's the fucking longest thing you've ever
I mean, the
watched.
limit on LinkedIn is 15 minutes. You can't do anything longer than 15 physically.
Oh, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn,
Right.
LinkedIn.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, not YouTube. That would be a short YouTube video.
yeah, yeah.
Now standing the fuck out. I mean, you've been doing it for 5 years. You've worked with a bunch of freelancers, in-house teams, consulted a lot of different companies, I'm sure. If someone wants to stand the fuck out, is there some process framework? Because you can stand out in a million different ways, right?
Absolutely.
But like some are good, some are not so good, some will work, some will not work. Is there anything that you can condense to,
Yes.
okay, the book?
So that's the book, right? That's the workbook, right? It's extremely structured and specific. And so when I talk about stand the fuck out, people make it their own, and like it means something for them. But I never mean to behave like a contrarian, like a French intellectual terrorist that I am. I never do that, right? There is, as you said, millions of ways to do it, and so I
Yeah.
never try to prescribe a way to do it. What I try to share are the principles behind it for to make it your own. So there's 4 steps. It's
Hmm.
insight foraging, it's unique positioning, it's distinctive brand, and it's continuous reach. And so insight foraging is essentially about understanding customers with 6 core questions. Unique positioning is the ability to develop a position that makes you the least risky option for your ideal group of customers that others can't do or don't do well. Distinctive brand is the ability to get noticed, cut through the noise with branding assets that are uh, not meaningful. That could be completely random because that's linked to how people remember stuff. And the continuous reach is about like finding ways to reach as many people as possible within our means in a continuous way. So it's extremely structured. And so, depending on the stage you're at, there are like stages that are more important than others. So, I'm consulting with a massive US corporation right now, and it'd be silly to try to gain understanding of their unique positioning because you cannot, in good faith, say that they are uniquely positioned. They sell a product service that is the same as their competitor. There's no point trying to obsess over that. However, distinctiveness is extremely important for them. So there's a big difference between differentiation and distinctiveness.
Mhm.
Differentiation is related to your positioning. It's the ability to say we solve problems in a way that others don't, and that's how we're different. That's why you should pick us. That's differentiation. After a while, you cannot reach differentiation once you get into a certain size because you just don't have
Mhm.
innovation unless you innovate, but it's rare. And then distinctiveness is the ability to just cut through with branding and stuff around branding that make you notice, but have nothing to do with your product necessarily. So it's I can go deep and deep, super deep, but it's like I would encourage people to read the book in some way, shape, or form. We can talk about LinkedIn and how to like put that into perspective for that book. But yeah, I don't like to cover it too fast,
Right.
not in depth enough because I don't want to be seen as someone who just tries to like say you should stand the fuck out and doesn't give you enough. But yeah, it feels like there's formats that are better than others to explain those things.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. I'm just curious, I mean, you said it totally depends on like the company size and different things on where you're at, but what part do people usually get stuck on? And I'm now thinking more in the just because it's more relevant for kind of my audience in the personal branding side of
Mhm.
things. Um, where do people get most stuck?
So if let's apply it to like personal branding, right?
Yeah.
Let's put like personal brand, and let's even add a layer like LinkedIn,
Yeah.
right? Like if you want to start it on LinkedIn, um, what they tend to so there's a couple. There is an ingredient inside the distinctive brand that I call the point of view that people really struggle with.
Hmm.
So because they confuse having an opinion or random opinions with having a point of view. So the difference is that you don't have to shout random opinions on LinkedIn in order to be noticed. That's not what it is about. Even though you've heard from other people saying you need to be controversial or use a hook that fucking puts a contrast between two things that shouldn't really be contrasted, like because there's so much nuance in between. Um, Instead, what you need to have is a point of view. So a point of view is a series of messages baked into everything you do and say that is there to protect your people, your audience, your segment from harm. And it's there to say, "I'm here for you. I get you. You're on my side. We are together here." So the biggest mistake is to blame, for example, people for the problems that you help them solve. And it's really about like sending a signal. Like I use the analogy in the book about the bat signal. It's like you send a signal to the right people that you're here for them, and you constantly talk about it in different ways. You slice and dice it in 1,000 different ways, but there's always as a through line. There's always the point of view that stays true. So if you take my example
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, not like every time I don't talk about my point of view or whatever in detail, but I'm sure that because you stalked my LinkedIn like a good old stalker, that you could feel there was a thread. I'm asking
Let me
very leading
guess.
question.
Let me make a guess and you tell me how far off I am.
Yeah,
I mean, it's obviously a lot comes down to stand the fuck out. So you share examples around how to do it, how not to do it. I would say like there is a sense of the enemy is the I don't know if it's like best practices or it's like, hey, you've been taught that you need to do it in this certain way, and it's just absolutely not true. And I'm giving you permission to stand the fuck out. And maybe that enemy is kind of, I don't know, tons of feedback loop in a big corporations or I don't know, yeah, LinkedIn best practices around how you're supposed to format things and the hook needs to look in a certain way and that's what people kind of go for and you
yeah,
give them permission that like you don't need those.
yeah. That's a good summary. But you see, I don't need to correct you per se because I think it's pretty spot on. It's in your own words. Um, but you see, you were able to extract that from what I said without me saying it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And the power of having a point of view is not to be able to weave it in every post explicitly,
Hmm.
like in your signature of every post. It's about being able to like have it as your true north and always coming back to it in different ways. So like, can you share an example that relates? Can you share a case study? Can you share an opinion? Can you share a listicle? Can you share a resource? Can you share, like that's the way I see it for myself. It's like it always connects to that strong point of view, which is, yeah, what you've been taught about marketing is mostly wrong. You've been learning from people who are trying to peddle their shit to you
Hmm.
and sell problems that don't exist or solutions to problems that don't exist. And yeah, you need to fucking trust yourself more because deep down you know what to do. You're just afraid of doing it, and because you want to do something that feels good for you, but in your head and all the shit that you've been taught, you're not supposed to do it this way and blah blah blah. So you triple guess yourself, blah blah. So
Yeah.
it's here. I never blame them. It's easy to
Right.
say it. I could blame people and say,
You're a
hey,
bad marketer.
yeah, you're not smart enough to get that, right? Like
Mm,
you need to be trained more, you need to learn more, and then you figure shit out. No, it's like it's not your fault. You are literally surrounded by bullshit. It's difficult for your brain to filter through what is good advice, what isn't, right? So I'm not blaming you for that.
yeah,
And this is, I think, the fine line that I'm trying to work on, which is getting people on my side by trying to help them out without leaving that kind of edgy or contrarian thing. So I never, for example, name names. I never say Justin Welsh. I never
yeah,
post about Justin Welsh. I never post about Louis
yeah,
Grenier. I always talk about the culture of the category that I don't like, and I never really go into like this kind of stuff because it's not helpful.
yeah.
Um, and so yeah, and I'm always trying to be extremely generous and nice with people and helpful. So I think the view is more like radically candid. It's like I challenge directly, right? I would really fucking no problem saying stuff directly, but I also care about them.
What's your writing process? Do you have an idea bank? Do you just
Yeah,
sit down spur of the moment?
yeah. What do you think?
Well, it feels like there's a moment of inspiration and then you write it down and then probably you edit. Maybe you come back to it the next day. Um, but I don't know.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. So there are seasons in my business and my life. So there are seasons where I'm structured and I would have like a bank of ideas that I would keep, and I'd have a backlog and I know what to say tomorrow. And there are seasons where I'm not structured at all and I just post whenever the fuck I want to post.
Yeah.
So at the minute, I'm at the season of posting whenever I want to post. And sometimes I don't post for a week, sometimes I post twice a day. I just overall though it feels better for my soul to do this. Like this by this meaning like writing when I feel like it.
Can you,
Um
yeah, I'm sorry.
no, yeah, go ahead, man.
I, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that, but um, I'm curious to understand your mindset around that. Speaking about myself, I run a business. We have customers. I have employees. And so, on the one hand, I really resonate with this mindset of like, just post when you have something to say. And if you don't have something to say for 2 weeks, then just don't say anything. Like, it really resonates with me. But then two things happen. One, I'm like, well, I want to bring in customers, and what if I just don't have anything to say for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'm just silent, and then how, there's the marketing machine that needs to keep running. On the other hand, there's also this weird thing where the more I write, the more inspired I am, and there is a loop
Yeah,
where if you just haven't written for 2 or 3 weeks, you get into this mindset of like everything you think of is shit,
absolutely.
and you lose that
Absolutely.
muscle. So,
So like this is why I'm saying there are seasons to it. And there's no it's not black and white. It's full of nuances. So it depends on so many factors. And yes, the more you write, the more you have ideas. And the more you write, the more comfortable you are with yourself. The more you write, the more your brain is like flushes out their shitty idea. And so there is something to say about that. So I can't it's such a difficult question. What I would say is at the start, meaning like people who want to start writing or who've been dabbing in and out of it, it's quantity first, then quality, then quantity. So
mm,
first you need to write a lot and post a lot because things need to be out there. And then the loop with LinkedIn or any other social platform is very fast. So it's quite easy to learn what tend to stick. And then you then go into the quality side, which is like, okay, now you have a better taste for what is going to work, what isn't. But you don't want to listen too much to the feedback because then you turn into a right wing extremist talking to those people who took the red pill, right? It's
yeah,
like, it's like if you optimize the website too much, it turns into a porn
on
site, right?
site,
It's
yeah.
the same thing. So you need to kind of have this balance between who you are, your point of view, what you believe, and what works. And so always striving that. So that's the quality stuff. And then once you're good at that, then yeah, you can quote unquote scale and have systems. But too many times people want to go to that part already. It's like, give me the system that automatically blah blah blah. It's you're starting with the end in mind. So I completely get it. I know what you offer as a business. It's like it's normal to expect some sort of quantity kind of criteria, as long as it starts with a learning about it, getting better at it, um, and then scale as much as you can scale
What
without
do you
compromising your values.
what do you think are some of the intentional things that you're doing on LinkedIn to stand out? I mean, there's the bright orange profile picture, which stands out, but what are some of the
Yeah,
things that you've been continuously leaned in more into?
I've been showing up on this platform for, I want to know when I started. I don't remember. I remember getting an email from it, like definitely more than 10 years. I've been showing up in there for a long time. So, so like, let me try to voice out my thinking on why I'm saying this. It feels like I've always focused on depth of relationships
Mm,
over anything else. And it feels like even though I have a good number of followers, if you just compare to someone else or whatever, it's not a massive amount. And those people are not people I've just added randomly and whatnot. They are, for the most part, people who came to me. And so I feel like there's a depth of relationship I have with people when I post and when I reply to comments and stuff that others who have similar numbers, just to
hmm.
compare, don't have. And that's something I'm quite proud of, right? Whenever I post something, sometimes you could have very little likes. I don't care. By the way, we can talk about that. But it doesn't matter to me because then, and that's what I want to talk about when we talk about LinkedIn, the value of it is not in the post, is not in the comments. The value of it is the fucking people you talk to in the DMs. It's the relationship you actually build there. I have closed, I mean, six-figure deals from LinkedIn from start to finish. No, just because I kind of reach out to people and I just have normal conversation like a fucking human.
So you don't care about likes?
No, not anymore. So I mean, I it's nice for the ego, and the ego is always there, even if you want to put it at bay. So it's not like I'll be lying if I said I'm not happy if a post does really well, but I I genuinely don't pay attention to it because that much because my point when I post is to I write for myself
Mm,
first. I write to get stuff out of my head. I write to get business, and so it doesn't really matter to me if it's a post that I'm proud of, that I like to read, that I feel good about, that makes me laugh, or I feel like, ooh, it's gonna be spicy for some people. I'm happy. That's the end goal. Bonus is the rest. But how many times have I gotten like good deals, 5 figure, 6 figure, from posting something that got very little engagement, and just because I got one DM out of the back of that post, but that DM led to business. So it's yeah, more and more I don't really care. Doesn't bother me anymore.
can you talk about one of my favorite posts that you posted was about 100% intensity? I'm going to link it here. Is that one of the like kind of core ways?
Yeah, it's something that surprised me. So like the concept is essentially most people when they have ideas, when they do something, they do it at 10%, 20% intensity, meaning like the idea itself is good, but they don't think enough, or they think about it, but they don't execute at that level where like it's like make it fucking like all in, right? Like it's not 0 or 100. Don't do it at 10%, 20%, 30%. And what surprises me is I don't need to give examples. People get that point. They
Hmm.
understand what it means because deep down they know that they do that, right? They stop themselves from doing it at the intensity that they want. So that's kind of the core idea. And it surprised me because that wasn't really something that I felt was profoundly cool or whatever. But yeah, I heard that from a few people. They like the idea of it. So actually, I have a call after yours with one of my consulting clients about that diagnosing their brand and where they're at. And that's one of the key gap that I've identified is they know what to do. They just don't do it at enough intensity. So it's a core thing, yeah, and it's a thread. It's a through line. It's doesn't matter if it's in the positioning, branding, or the way you reach out to customers. It's more of a in there. It's like commit to it. Like just go fucking full force.
But I
You know?
guess the reason why it makes sense to people, but yet they don't do it is because of fear. Because I guess if you go 100% intensity, then what will people think? Maybe
Yep.
like my boss won't like it. Maybe my peers won't like it. Maybe they think I'm crazy. I don't like. So
Yep.
is there anything you can say besides like, well, yeah, that's kind of part of it and you just got to get over it and push through the fear?
Yeah, it's the fear is part of it, right? It's I'm when I do something new with like this intensity, when I try stuff that I haven't done before, I'm scared too. I have butterfly in my stomach, but that's what I seek, not what I try to avoid.
Hmm.
It's the that feeling is just your brain preventing you from getting hurt, but that worked 2000 years ago, millions years ago in the jungle and stuff. Nowadays, the risk is not to do it because you're going to blend in. So if you have a great idea, do not make do not shoot yourself in the foot and just execute at 10% of it, right? So everyone is afraid of stuff. And then the other thing is you can start small. So obviously I'm talking about 100% intensity, but try something that is a bit out there that you feel is a bit challenging. Put it out there and see how it feels. And you'll notice that nothing bad happens. And then that's the new normal. And then you go a bit more, and then a bit more. And then in 1 year's time, you look back and you'll be like, fuck, I've done so much. So obviously you can't go from 0 to 1, 0 to 100 straight away, but always try to like go a bit deeper and see how it feels because 9 times out of 10, nothing bad happens. In fact, just to give you a quick stat, I can count on less than one hand the number of people insulting me or going after me or saying that I'm stupid in the last decade plus
How do you
overall.
decide what vector to go 100% intensity on? Like, I've been on LinkedIn for 5+ years. I have thousands of posts out there. I'm decent.
You're good.
And I feel like there's still, like, I'm not, I show up on LinkedIn differently, like how I show up on Instagram, for example.
Mm.
I mean, part of it is like I stay in kind of my lane on LinkedIn. Like I talk about LinkedIn and content and executive branding and thought leadership and yada yada yada. But I do what like I've been thinking about like, man, like I feel a bit one-dimensional on LinkedIn, and maybe I'm just a one-dimensional person, but like to think that I'm not,
Yeah.
And on Instagram, I post other things. I talk about whatever history books I read, and I sprinkle that sort of stuff in on LinkedIn. But I don't know, like. I'm struggling to kind of figure out like where to push. Like, do you just start talking about like history books? I don't know. Do I just throw some
Well,
political beliefs in there? Do I?
if you were, I guess, if you were answering that question for someone else, like you would probably say, what lifts you up? Like what makes you happy, right? Like be selfish about it. That's what I would say. It's like
Hmm.
clearly that's what you want to talk about, so fucking do it, right? That's one easy answer. But another thing, I came across this quote a while back. The best part of being authentic is that there is no image to maintain. You will delight some and disturb others, and none of it will concern the truth of your being.
Mm.
So I think there's something to say about that, about like if you are playing a role, even if it's at, you're not 90% yourself, 10% playing a role, that it is taking a toll on you because
Hmm.
your full being wants to get out and you prevent it from doing so. And that could lead to severe consequences like burnout and mental fatigue and all of that. So that's what I obsess about. Is like when I post, when I say stuff online, I want people to understand who I am. And so when they meet me in real life, they're like, you're exactly who I imagine you to be. And that's a great compliment. And in fact, I've heard that, which is great. That's what I want. There's no difference there. Now, that's for me, and that's the how I've resolved this kind of conflict, tension. There might be other ways to do it, but it's like yeah, like bringing your full self to whatever you do is a cathartic experience. It's good for the soul, I think.
Yeah. Who does the quote belong to?
So it's actually a tweet. It's an email that someone sent me of a screenshot of a tweet from Soledad Francis.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah, it's just part of my just a
You have
content
a
page
swipe
there.
file there, or what? Why are you looking that up?
Yes, for sure.
What? What?
No,
What?
it's what? Tell me.
What? Like reference, book, quote, podcast have you revisited the most times?
So in my season of when I was working on my book and I was doing a lot of research and all of that, I've read, compiled quote resources from hundreds of books. And I'm using Workflowy to do
Hmm.
that. So a bit like a second brain. So there's so many. Like what I try to say, when I get this question, it's like I always try to give non-marketing, non-business inspiration stuff
Hmm.
because that's one of the best way. Like you talked about history books, like that's you see. Like if I go back to that previous question for you, the creativity comes from putting stuff together that shouldn't be together. It's like it's when you have a tension. It's when you have something that those two things shouldn't mix, like Ninja Turtles, SpongeBob SquarePants,
Yes.
right? So you, it's like, how can we mix the topic of history with the topic of personal branding? And it's like, well, what if Churchill was on LinkedIn? What if, you know?
Here's what World War II taught me about B2B sales.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean, though.
Yes.
Like,
No, I love
there's
it.
so much to say. And so it's like the intersection of two things that shouldn't be put together. And so, like, read far beyond your area of expertise. I remember reading a book about fungus, like mushrooms and where they come from and shit. Super interesting. And your brain just connects the shit. So that's my, that, like, I don't want to talk about, the marketing stuff because, yeah, they're important, but like, it's better to feed your brain with more shit and experience the world, right? It's like another thing that resonates with a lot of people when I talk about it. Uh, it is the fact that you don't create content, don't write posts, like do cool shit, experience cool shit,
Mm.
and then talk about it, you know? And it's the same thing here. It's like stop trying to like force it, fucking do stuff that worth talking about. And it's basic, but that's why I did the YouTube stuff. Like it's much
Yeah.
easier to talk about it because like it's something fun. It's
Right.
cool. It's interesting.
Which fundamental marketing truth do you think people have most forgotten? And don't say how to stand the fuck out.
So what marketing truths have they forgotten?
Yeah, which ones neglected the most in 2026?
Well, let me go specific. There's one thing that most marketers, people working in companies forget is that people don't take action until something causes them to. And it's not because someone is in pain that they will do something about it. So you can literally have pain in your backside for 10 years without doing anything about it. It's only when your grandkids come to visit that you go to the physio so that you can fix your back and spend time with them in the park this
Mm.
weekend. So there's a big, it's not because you found in a customer problems that you can solve that you have the sale. Far from it. Because again, we have all problems that are there always on that that doesn't mean shit. What you want is trigger events. You want to identify the specific moments in time that lead people to go from not moving to moving. They could be internal stuff like I'm hungry, or
Yeah.
it could be external stuff like seeing an ad as well as seeing someone else use a product. Uh, Financial, like New Year's financial, getting fired, hiring someone new. I mean, the people in the go-to-market B2B SaaS area, to use a fine normal word, obsess over it because talk about signals. It's the area of signal-based
Yes.
targeting and whatever. It's always been there, right? It's just always been in the marketing literature. So those are triggers. You can call them whatever you want. Category
Yeah.
entry points, triggers, signals, same shit. It's like, yeah, everyone wants to increase revenue. Everyone wants to decrease costs. Everyone wants to keep the employees longer. Cool. Give me something I don't know.
I think it was Jason Fried who talked about this like years ago, and it reminded me of that. It's the difference between understanding why someone buys your thing versus why someone goes shopping.
Yep.
And way too many focus on why they buy your thing versus why do they go shopping in the first place.
Yep. Like if you reverse engineer the reason why you buy stuff, like for example, what's the last thing you bought that is expensive enough?
I mean, gifts for my daughter's birthday.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's simple. That's called a repeated event. So that's the type of trigger where you expect something to happen. Birthday, I must offer something. Very basic, but like
Yep.
it's as simple as that. And the other thing connected to that is, I'm consulting with a big corporation, as I said at the minute, and it's like they complexify so much that they complexify and they create a lot of stuff around stuff because the humans tend to associate complexity with being smart, with intelligence. So it's like the more complex it is, the smarter it is. In marketing, unlike most of the business world, it's quite the opposite. Like the simpler you can make it, the smarter it is. So you need to get away from the idea of like needing a 50-page doc to talk about a strategy. Like if you can make it in a half a page,
Yep.
that's better,
Yep.
So that connects to that. It's like get away from all those messaging docs and those slide decks and all of that toolkits that I can see. All you need is half a page with the key trigger events, and then we can talk. It's much easier to think about what to do. So
We have 5 minutes left. So Mari or Finn, if you guys have questions, you can drop them in now, or also feel free to unmute yourself. Jacob asked me previously that I'm supposed to ask you, what's your beef with demand gen and direct response?
well, we need to do another episode.
I'm down. I mean, I enjoyed this. I literally had a long list of things, and I'm just like, my brain is just like exploring all kinds
Yeah.
of things.
I meant to say something earlier, man, but I really enjoyed this conversation. You're good at this. I like that you're listening to what I have to say, which is rare. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you,
And
Louis, for your time. Thank you,
thank you
everyone.
for a great conversation.
Cool. Peace out, everyone. All right, this podcast is brought to you by Project 33. Project 33 is the leading executive thought leadership agency for LinkedIn. If you're looking to activate your founder, your CEO, your executives, or any of your internal subject matter experts and create thought leadership content for them to build trust and credibility for your brand, reach out at project33.io.